Judy. Casadilla. Yeah. All right. I think I've got my camera set up fairly good. I finally figured out how to use capture. Hey, Michelle, Joan. So you guys all ready for another class? Now this isn't going to be for like portraiture, where you're actually getting a photograph of somebody you know and you're duplicating it basically. I want to teach you character drawing first, because that way when you're first starting out, it's really difficult to get the exact look of somebody. It takes a lot of practice. But for imagination drawing of a face, it's a whole lot easier. So today we're going to be, or I'm going to be showing you some shading, what to shade, and it's not going to be like really in depth like you would do in a portraiture. It's just for a pretty face, basically. You know, the whimsy looking girls that a lot of people are doing, that type of thing. Hi, Elaine. Good to see you all. It's a good day to stream. It's a very snowy day here. We're getting warnings of snow squalls coming in. It's too early. Oh, I haven't even cleaned my garden out, but I guess it's gonna have to wait till spring now. Yeah, Judy, snow already. It's hi, Eileen. Hi, Jilly. Yeah, we already got 6 inches, and it's still snowing. It's very wet. And this afternoon, it's supposed to get very windy, which is bad, because then they'll end up canceling school for tomorrow. Snow day in November. That's bad. I'm hoping this is just a glitch with Mother Nature. We get some warm weather. I don't want snow till like, it can snow on Christmas Eve, and then it has to be gone by New Year's. And then maybe February we can get a little bit. I don't want a lot. Hey, Carol. So I came on a little bit early just so that to make sure my camera was working. This is much better than the last time. Don't you agree, Eileen? It's much clearer. The color's better. Oh, you're getting pouring down rain? You're in England, right, Joan? So aren't you kind of used to that? Because isn't it usually raining? Whenever I see anything like the gardening world, it's always raining. Our big snow usually arrives in January. Yeah, I know. If this is going to be it, like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a very, very long winter. You already had snow twice? Oh, wow, Judy. Yes, Kathy, but we are having the wettest weather on. Oh, really? Oh, that's not good. On record. Holy. Wow. Our snow comes about. Yes, I know, Eileen. Rub it in, rub it in. Well, it's a weird year. You just might get some this year. Getting colder and lots of rain here in Oklahoma. Yeah. Oklahoma is fairly, you get snow a lot there? I'm not sure. So just wait a couple minutes so people can come in. My sister might be showing up. I don't know if she'll come in chat or not. My twin. She's not very techy, so I don't know if she's figured it out. Have you always had super chat, Kathy? Super chat, or is this new? Why? What are you guys looking at? I see live chat. What's super chat? You have a dollar sign below. Oh, yeah, I've always had that. Yep. Too busy paying attention, Judy. Doing your drawing. I have trouble paying. That's why you're sitting at the front of the class, Judy. So the naughty corner, yeah. So if you're watching the recording, just slide that bar. Because I'm just waiting and chatting for a bit till I get started. I did say 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock now, so there'll be some more people coming in. So I like to wait a little bit just so that people don't miss stuff. So have you all been doing any drawing? I hope this is helping you, because I've had so many people ask for drawing, how to draw this, how to draw that. So I thought these classes would be kind of good for you. But if you have some suggestions of what you want to learn, put it in the comments below, because I'd really like to know. It helps me. I know not everybody likes faces, but that was my faces and gesture drawing was my main thing in school. That's what I studied. So that's why I normally gravitate towards that type of thing. I can do other things. But I thought if I show you the faces, how to do the basic face, like with character or an imagination face that you would dream up, would be easier to start with. And then I can get into other. Haven't made it through last week's. Oh, I'm sorry, Carol. That's fine. It's recorded. I have no time stamp on any of this stuff. You can watch it and do it at your own leisure. That's why I'm doing it. I'm recording it. So you can just do it when you want. I'm learning something every week. No drawing experience ever. Oh, great. Great, Eileen. Elaine. I keep getting you guys names. I love the Little Mermaid you did. Oh, yeah. What's this book? This one. I'd added a few little things, some seashells or some more of this, and highlighted them with some sticks. That was fun. And the sparkles. I love doing collage, and I always like to draw something in the collage. Well, I'm glad you guys are learning stuff. That's what I want to do, is encourage and inspire people to be creative. You are. It is unusual, like when Dee Dee just sits down and goes for it, or is that not the norm? Everybody's different. Some people like to have a planned out thing. A lot of artists do little sketches in their sketchbook of composition, value, that type of thing. So they actually plan out what their page is going to be. For journals, I guess there's no fear in a journal, because it's a journal. That's where you're supposed to practice. That's where you learn things to do and not to do. So it's not precious, I guess you could say. Whereas if you did a canvas, then you would be hesitant in just jumping in there and doing whatever, even though you could paint over a canvas too. But this kind of gives you a little experimenting leeway, I guess. Hey, Janet. Yes, and Dee has been arting for 30 years. I've been arting, well, not necessarily this type of arting, but probably about 30 years too, plus my art schooling. And you're disassembling a vacuum cleaner? That's Robert's work. Oh, Robert busted it. Well, geez. Hi, Dot. Hey, Mark. Where are you, Mark? Are you Canadian or? Of course, Eileen, you blame him. I'm always in trouble. So, I just thought I'd show you any of these are drawings, but what I've done is I cut them out. Now you can photocopy them and then put them in books. So use them, multi-use, and you can make them bigger or smaller for your different, depends what you like to do. And that's what I've done with mine. There's the other one. Where'd it go? Okay. There. So this here is all from a magazine. So she's kind of like stressed out. This means, you know, how she feels crazy, and then there's the 2 watches for time is on her mind, and so you kind of play with stuff. That's what I like to do. And then you can add collage to it. This one's got all kinds of stenciling in. This is part of a tissue paper, I believe. That's another stencil. Then just smearing paint on it. Yeah, just print on regular copy paper. If you want, you can spray your, after you've printed it out, get your fixative spray and spray it with fixative. And that way the inkjet won't smear. I can't remember, do you draw those on top of the background? Some I did, some I didn't. This one I drew first and then put the background around it. This one. So this is actually drawn in here, and then these were put on around it. And then I just took my marker and threw some pieces of hair so it looked like it's combined. Hey, Beth. So last week, let's see, get some of my stuff out here. Let's see. Yeah. So I gave you a link to go find these. And this is the step-by-step. So you draw an almond shape, you put in more graphite around here. This is for imaginative type of face. Then you add your eyebrows, your eyeball, and you notice that the eyeball isn't completely showing. The top part is usually hiding. You take your stump, or a cotton swab will do too, and smudge it. And then you can put a little bit of shadow on the top of the lid and on the eyeball part on top, because your eyeball isn't completely white. You weren't able to find them? If you look in the last YouTube that I did this on, there's links in the description below. If you just press on the link, you'll find them. They're all there. And then the highlight. Now I did this I did this highlight wrong. This here, this little dot should be over here. It should be the duplicate to see, this I did mirrored, and it shouldn't be like that. This should be here and the highlight here. Wherever there's a highlight on the top, it sends light through the eye and lightens the iris of your eye. I pressed, but not there. Oh, that's weird. Did anyone else have a problem with it? Should be there. Um, Now, you don't have to use this shape either. You can use different shapes. Yeah, they are on Instagram also, if you want to go on Instagram. So you can make big eyes or round eyes, you know, the big sad eyes that you see in a lot of books. Let me think. Just seeing if I have a book out here. Even at your coloring books, you'll notice some of the eyes are really big and round, more like a child's eye, I guess. And then, let's see. The nose. And that, like, this isn't the only way to do this. You can, if you have an easier way to do it, go ahead and try it. This was just something very easy to do. So you just scribble some shading underneath, take your stump and smudge it so it's smooth, and then just make a little ice cream cone on the top. Then you take your pencil and you make two little curved lines there. And that's the nostrils. And then you can shade up a little bit so it makes it more of a round ball, and put the side wings of the nostril on. And then you take your stump again and shade it a little bit. It's very quick. You can make any size nose you want this way. And the mouth, again, scribble, smooth it, put two marks on the corners of your mouth, and then you can smudge it again, and then put one in the center and one just below the lip. Then you smooth it out again, make the top lip a little bit darker, and smooth these corners out so they're not so definite. So you have a little bit of a line, and then just add a piece of white Posca for a little bit of shine on your lip. Okay, and then there was this I did, and this tells you, this is the basic proportions of how most faces in average will go. Again, if you're doing more portraiture, then this can totally change. The eyes could be smaller, they could be lower, higher, but this is the average, and this is great for keeping as a reference. If you have a hard time keeping your eyes in the same level, then make sure you draw out a grid. Now, you can draw a grid like this if you want on a piece of acetate and use it. And then you can just push it over top of your drawing and see if your eyes are lining up properly. You can make this even smaller grids on it if you want. And this is also on a download. And then here's a picture of my granddaughter, just showing you how a human face, this happens to be perfect. So she's got the right measurements between the eye width, the same eye width between the nose, from the halfway point is the bottom of the eye. So if you want to practice this, if you just to get this in your mind so you don't have to refer back to it so many times, go through a magazine. The best ones I find are like a hairdressing or haircut magazine. Let's see. I got one here. So you just go through this. You can do them even on a 3/4. So you can just, draw your lines. So her top of her head would be here. Now with 3/4, you want to arc your line. There's another one you can do. So find some of these and see how they work out. There are a lot of front facing in these magazines, but this is a great one for different slants to the head too, if you want to start drawing. And you can also use these pictures for a reference for even doing an imaginative type of drawing. So they don't have to look like these people, but at least you have an idea to go by, but you don't have to use, she doesn't have to look like that. Thanks, Janet. So with that, there was the nose again. Oh, that was the eye. Where did I put that other one? That was the. We already went through all of those. Okay, so with drawing a face, I thought what I would do, I have my granddaughter here. Now, I'm not going to make her look like her, but we can use this as a template, basically. So if you want to, you can use one of these, or you can just, because it's not a real, you're not going for a real face, you're doing imaginary face, we can just draw whatever. So let's see, if I place her, nice, if you can, it's got a glare. How am I going to do this? Okay, so if I have this in the center, I'll put it up a little bit so that the eyes are level with this line. And if you want, you can draw a grid on here. Now we can, I'm just going to wing it. So I'm just drawing kind of an egg shape is usually the best. And we want to cut it in half. Okay. Then in half again. And you can go thirds, or you can, I like to go half, and this will be where her mouth is opening. That's the bottom of her nose. And this is the bottom of her eye. So she has perfect symmetrical face. So from here to here is the same distance from here to here. So you can measure her eye with your pencil if you want. So it would be about here to here. And we want to make sure that it's centered. And then just use that diagram for the eyes if you want. So I'm not making her, I'm making a character. So we can do big eyes, small eyes, whatever. I think I'll bring it down a little bit. Okay. And you can take it out of a magazine if you want, whatever. Now, character faces can have whatever shape you want. I got this book out. This is character drawing. So here, that's her photo. And this is how she looks, exaggerated. And then she distorts it even more. So you can do whatever you feel like. But what they're doing is emphasizing, see, she has fairly chubby cheeks. So that's why they put bigger cheeks. But see, the eyes are done very simply. And the shading is what makes that look great. So to start, you can just do your, where did I put this? Oh, there it is. I'm just going to give her a, maybe you like certain types of lips. And you can always erase. There's no shame in erasing. And you just want to make sure that she's not lopsided. Some lips are a little more puffy looking. Got to put her nostrils in. And the wings. I'll give her a little bit of a button nose. Let's finish her eye. These girls are really fun to make. You could just draw a whole page of different types of eyes, different types of noses, and keep it, because you're going to want to see what to draw one day, because maybe you just can't think of anything. And then you can open up your book and see what shape you want to draw. Pupil. And shade in the top part. Might look kind of weird at first. And then I just like to make a bunch of lines going towards the pupil for the iris. Fill it in. And then we'll give her an eyelid. Usually, the crease in the eyelid is very dark. And the bridge of the nose between the eyes, you usually see a lot of shadow. Here, I'll bring you guys down a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Zoom. There. Alrighty. Kathy and everyone. Hi, Kenny. And then you just refine it as you go. So because the fold of her eye, there's a muscle in here, and it's puffy above your eyebrow or below your eyebrow because of that muscle and fat in the tissue. So it has a round form. So you got to remember your anatomy a little bit, or look in a mirror and take a look at the folds and how the shadow from giving it depth, how it's placed. Now from here, this is your nose. The bone of your nose stops about here, and then the rest is cartilage. And on both sides of here, it slants down on your face. So it's slightly shaded to the wing. And then in here, this eye socket is actually really big. And there's some people have a puffy underneath the eye. Some people, it's a little darker, you'll see. So you can actually take this corner and bring it down towards the cheek. And don't stop it hard. You have to graduate the shading into the light of the cheek. Okay. Now I can go back and remove stuff with the eraser. These lines I can reduce now. Now this could change. The shading in the nose could change. Maybe the person broke its nose and might have a bump here. So you might have a really highlighted area here and here. So really study what you're getting your reference from. Then the eyebrow. Let's see what her eyebrows are. Okay, now she has very thin in here, but it's thicker over here, which is a young person's eyebrow. So let's put a little bit in here. And then we can fill it in. So everybody's got different shaped eyebrows. Now, if you don't get it right on, don't worry about it. This is for your imagination. Okay, so see how her crease is more defined right up here. Now, I'm not going to make it exactly the shape. Now that you can see the bottom part of the thickness of her bottom lid. So you can see the eyelashes start there, not in there. So you can put the thickness of her lid to about the center of her eye. I don't have my other eraser. I should see if I can lighten that up a little bit. Okay. Any questions? Now, because her eyeball is right in here, the eye sticks out. So you got to show that in your drawing to give it depth. So if you notice here in the shadow area here, on the corner of her eye is much darker, and then there's a highlight in here, but it's also dark here. So you want to color this area. And this should be darker. And this is the part that I was telling you about that has a muscle in here and fat on top of that muscle, so it has to stick out. So you want to highlight or shade at the bottom part of it and kind of round it on the edge. This is her darkest side. And this is her cheekbone here. So you got to imagine how the cheekbone would be going. And see here, you can see where the whole socket is. It's right in here. You see this line right here? That's part of the socket. Do you prefer working on smooth or rough paper? Smooth. Definitely smooth. If you're going to be using pencil, then I would suggest smooth. Now, I don't mean like slick. This is just copy paper, and it's perfect. You don't have to get special paper. I want a little bit of a darker line there. No, you're welcome. Ask away, guys. This is the time when you should be asking questions while I'm here. It's a lot easier than you know, putting it in chat on a text or something. Then I have to find it and figure out what you're talking about. Now here, see her eyebrow is sticking out. And this part, it's a little bit more shadowed. So let's shadow that up. You can always take your eraser and remove stuff. I like to put the shadows in first, and then you can do the eyelashes. So if you do the eyelashes first, and then you want to go and improve the shadowing, you erase your eyelashes. All right. She has a lot of shading in here around the tear duct. I'm going to put more up on the top of the lid there. If you find you get too much shading on it, just take your kneaded eraser and get a clean. And all you have to do, or I'll put a highlight in her eye, and you just press, and it'll take out whatever you want. Don't go like this because it'll take everything out. Just press it down, and that takes everything out. So there's a little bit of a highlight there. Okay, so see the shading right around the nose here? But see, it graduates. The sunlight is coming from this direction. So instead of it being in the middle of the nose, it's on the side part, top of the nose. So it's actually going into her brow. So she actually has a lot more shading in here. So just add a little bit at a time. She has a lot of shadow on this side of her nose. Even the nostrils have a different shape. So look at them. Everybody's nostrils are shaped differently. The sides of her cheeks, because she's a young person, you're not going to see a lot of definition there. So you kind of have to graduate it down to nothing. You can take an eraser and put in the highlights later if you want, if that's easier for you. Now there's a lot of highlight around the sides of her face here. And if you notice too, right here, there's a highlight on her nose. I wish I had my small eraser, but I don't. So you can take off, or I can put it in with and there's a bit of a definition of where her nose ends there. I don't want to put too much. Just a bit. She's got a real dip in her top lip. Okay, is everyone following? Oh, what are you asking, Beth? Sorry. What pencil are you using? This one is a 3B. You can use a 2B if you want, for just, practicing. You don't have to get, the really special, but it is a little easier if you want some really dark shading areas. Let's finish her eyes. She has hazel colored eyes. And you can hardly see in this picture the iris of her eye. And look at the reflections that are in the eye, the iris. Because they can do some really cool stuff. So she has a reflection there and one there. And on the side, I don't know if you can see it good enough here, it's a little bit lighter, her iris color here. So it's the light is coming through, hitting here, and going and shining on the iris of her eye here, which is lighter. So all you have to do is take your eraser and just tap out a little smudge. Let me put the iris in first. You see what I'm doing. I usually use Posca. So it's right there. And then there's one right there. So you want to take out some right here. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a smidge. All right. Now sometimes you can see a highlight on the bottom part of between her lid and the eyeball. And it's always, I don't see it much here, but you can put like a couple dabs. Sometimes it looks nice. Kind of gives them a little bit of a sparkle. Now you can see there, the white of her eye is a little bit lighter here and a little bit lighter here. So we'll take a little bit again, make sure it's clean. Take a little bit out. There. Now we'll do her eyelashes. Now see how her eyelashes, now she's got eyeliner or eye mascara on, but they're just not one individual, they're a clump. So it looks more natural, and watch how it's, which way they're going. So they're starting here, and then they're not going straight up. They're going on a curve, like a C shape. So we'll start in the middle here. And you kind of go down into the eye and flick up, like a check mark almost. And then you add to it. So you're making a V almost. Don't do too many, because then it looks kind of... And they're not all the same size. She has one there. and then just a few on the bottom, and you can make them fewer and shorter as it goes to the center of the eye. Okay. So then you can do this side too. Now this side you can't see them all because it's fairly dark. They're not very big. See? Okay, now her nose looks a little bit off to me. So I'm gonna, and it's because of the shadowing. I probably don't have enough darkness here. I'm gonna take some. It's a little dark in here. A bit more dark. And it goes around into her nose. Across here and down here. And this side, needs to be lighter in here. So you're always looking at your reference. I'm not trying to make her look like who she is. This is just a reference for a made-up girl. That's why it's always great to have a reference for shading, because it can get kind of confusing if you don't have one. Now for her lips, this area here sticks out because of her teeth. Everybody's mouth sticks out. So you do get shadow from your nose and her cheek. Now let's make the sides of her face. From the brow area, comes out a bit, just past the eye where the cheekbone is, comes in slightly, not a lot, comes out again, where her jaw would be. Her jawline would be in here. Then rounds. Comes around. Goes in. All right. So let's smudge this in a bit. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is a bit too much. Okay, let's see. There's the center of her nose. Okay, I can see here the difference. So this one has to come out a bit. See, it's not, even I do a lot of erasing. Now, probably this is a little more realistic than what you have to do. So I'll leave it up to you how detailed you want to get. I'm just weird that way. I like to be very realistic in my drawing. I just do. Can't help it. If you are doing what you have to get it as close as perfection. Yes, please. Kenny, Cass is using a stump to blend. Yes, this is a paper stump, it's called. You can use a Q-tip if you want. It'll do the same thing. Yes, I've used it a lot. That's why it's smashed. I don't typically use the big ones. I like the smaller ones, and they seem to stay a little more rigid. Yes, if you're drawing somebody, you have to get it exact. The slightest little thing can change the total look of that person. So that's why I'm not saying try to draw somebody you know. Do these faces first. Get used to shapes of faces and, you know, as if you end up drawing something and it's not looking like that person, you're going to be very discouraged and you're not going to want to do it anymore. And I don't want that to happen. All right. So, okay, for here, this is really showing it very, very dark. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting in a base of graphite so I can blend it in. I'll explain what I'm seeing in a minute. Just let me get this in. I'm very lightly doing this. I don't want a really heavy hand because if it's too heavy, it's very difficult to get that smooth look. So do it very, very gently. Okay. All right. So if you notice in it here, in this picture, on this side of her face, it's very dark. So there's a slight lighter part right in here. Right there's the lightest part. Also, usually around your mouth, the corner of your mouth, you'll see a little bit of a light area on the shadow side. If you notice on this side, there's the shadowed area, but it's lighter around that part. Here, you see the, here I'll drop more. This is the shape. That's the shape of the highlight. But it graduates into darker, darker, darker to here. Then this is oh so light, very light here. There's two different shades here. Under the nose, there's another little area that's light. And then her chin, below her lip, there's another light area, and it's darker here. So you have to really pay attention to the highlights. So that I like to put a very light application of graphite down, and then in circular motions I will smooth it in. And then you can always take your kneaded eraser, take some out, or you can always add more. So it's all about seeing, studying what you're looking at. Sometimes it's a lot easier to do this too on your photograph. So make a few copies and then outline your areas, and you'll see them more definite. There, see, it's just slight. Now I can add to this or take away from it. Now, her mouth doesn't look right to me. So I'm going to take and move it. Just the top part. So we'll move this over. Just she was kind of lopsided there. There, it's a little better. So I just moved her lips over a little more. Now, if you see too, a lot of times you can hardly see the difference from her lip to her skin here. So don't be in a hurry to make a line if you don't. Again, that's more picky about being more detailed. You don't have to do that because a lot of your character drawings will show a line. So I leave that up to you, what you want to do. Um, and I'm going to give her and you can do little flicks. That would be her lines in her lips. Now this can be a little more down. And then she needs this to be a little darker. And this side of her lip is shadowed more. Just slight. Now, these lines don't have to be there. A lot of times you'll find in a lot of highlights on the top, depending on how much the top part of the lip sticks out. You'll see a bit of a highlight on the top of there. And that'll depend on what you want to do. And then again, the top lip, because it sticks out, but it tilts inward towards your mouth opening. So it's a little bit more shaded. And then when the bottom lip, it curves. So at the bottom part, it might be a little bit darker. So you can shave the bottom part just slightly to give a little more folded look over. Same with the where it opens. On the corners might be a little bit darker. And the bottom, where the mouth opens, will be a little bit darker because of the shadowing of the lip. Here. Have to go and get my daughter. Okay. There's always a recording, Beth. Thanks for coming. Okay, her chin's not that square, but I'm going to leave it because it's not supposed to be her. It's just to help draw an imaginary person. So where the hollow of your cheek is, where you would put blush, and you don't usually put blush on the cheekbone, which is here. You put it below it. So it makes you look like your cheekbones are sucked in. So you want to make that a little darker. I'll just make a little bit of a darker line there. And then her hair, we can her ear is here. So she has flat ears. And the ears are usually by the brow and the end of your nose. Now that can change too with people, and depending on the tilt of the head. So we'll just do a makeshift ear here. So she has her hair wrapped around. And remember the shape of your head too, because that will determine how your hair lies. Your head is round, so you gotta make sure your hair goes around, not in a straight line. So her hair. Trying to see how her neck is in here. Not really showing it too well. So I'm gonna make it up. And you can just shade it in. What I don't normally do is I give it a base layer of not too heavy. And I smudge it all in, and then I use my eraser and take out the highlights. And I'll pull out a bit for you so you can see. All right, Kathy, please scoot the paper down so we can see this. Sorry, guys. I get going and then I completely forget. Darker on this side because of the shadow, the way the sun's hitting her. And it'll be darker right here in the part. And right here is where the fold of the hair is. Down here. And then you just blend it in again. Okay, any questions? My lips are too close to the nose, and now I'm experiencing. Oh, yeah, that happens. Before you start doing any shading, get this out. Try to go by the thirds. So from the nose to the opening of the lip is a third. From the opening of the lip to where it starts coming out from the chin is another third, and from that to the bottom of the chin is another third. Or use your diagram. And you can also put more lines in it. If you're doing a face, you probably should put more lines in it. That way you can see how close you are. You were guessing, yeah. If you haven't got a lot of heavy line, you can always erase it. I've done that before. It's practice. It really is. After you do a few, you'll get to judge things by eye instead of having to use your templates or graph sheets. So really, it's all about practice and seeing what you're drawing. This needs to be up a little more, so she's a little more even. Also, put your paper upside down, and look into put it on camera or look at it into a mirror with it, and you'll see something that you might have to change. So we need to darken this area. Because it's still too light. So it's just a matter of back and forth, back and forth. Keep adding. Your forehead has different planes on it too. You'll find there's quite a difference between men and women usually. The woman or child even, you'll see above her eyebrow, it's usually her eyebrow that sticks out the most, where in a man, it's the eyebrow and slightly above the eyebrow that sticks out. So a lot of times you'll see a highlight above the eyebrow. So you really, really have to pay attention to what you're seeing. And every person is different depending on the light situation that you have. And then you can go back and tweak little spots. With graphite drawings, the biggest thing that I see people do is they don't put enough contrast. You need contrast for a good drawing. Okay, for the hair, for just a quick hair, you can spend hours doing hair. If you have I wish I could find that, a mono eraser. I only have this here. What you can do is see this highlight here. You can start erasing where the highlights would be. For the real light areas, like small strands, you can use a Posca pen or a colored pencil. There is a micro one that's really, really good. Let's see. I think I do have put some. I don't know if no, it won't show. Let's try the. I don't think I have any of my pens in here. My white pens. There's a jelly roll. Maybe that'll work. See if the jelly roll works. Yeah, a little bit. Not as much though. Just have to be very light-handed. You can smudge them a bit. Her neck, you got to do. See, I'm still adding to it. It's got to be dark in here, and then it comes down. Then you can add darker strands in her hair for the real. It's not the real. It's not the strands. It's more like the in between hairs, I guess you could say. You can throw a few strands in that are I don't rip it up. Start again. My favorite little eraser. Now you got one of those, Kenny, the little wee ones. It's just practice. Don't be disappointed or too upset with yourself if it's not turning out right away. Let's put a group of hairs. Some days it just doesn't work for you. I've had many, many, many of those days. Just play with the shadows. You can smudge it in again and then erase some more. That way you get more depth in your hair. Depends how much time you want to put into the hair. Some people don't like doing hair, so it's just something quick. Okay. So depending on how much detail you want, is up to you. Contrast is important, so light and dark. Um, and highlights. Just watch your direction of the hair, your eyelashes, that type of thing. So it does make a difference. See her. Don't like those too dark. A little bit of shading in there. We'll give her a little bit of highlight in here a bit. And maybe right here. All right. So there she is. So you can do whatever you want. This is more, I said I wasn't going to do realistic, and I'm doing realistic. But if you, I guess, I don't know. If this is too much, let me know. You can do simple, just a basic eye, not as much detail. Depends how much detail you want. Like, I love these. I think they're so cool. So, play with some different noses and eyes, and see what we can dream up. Go and find, or a magazine. Go find some magazines, and let's see. I've got one in here somewhere. This has great photos for makeup and that type of thing. Or the hair one is really good. I find the hair one is a little better because it's just, usually they're not got a funny pose on their face. It's where did I put that? You can find a lot of front views too, like that one there. And there's many, many, many out there. So this is a really old one, but find some magazines, see what you can do. Jilly, was this too complicated? Give me the truth. I gotta know the truth. Because I can try to simplify it more if you want. Would you rather see something very, very basic, like well, like that new book that's out by Willing or Willowing, the what was it, Storybook Girls or something? Some work, Kathy. Would you rather me? No, it was amazing to watch the process. Tam Laporte, that's it. Would you rather me do something like that? It's all good. Real and fantasy. Okay, so I can try and simplify it for you. A quick drawing for a fantasy girl that's not as detailed. It's very, very simplified. I don't think I have anything here that I could show you. But yeah, look at Tam Laporte. And what was the other one? Is it Christy? There's a girl that used to do faces too. I don't think she's on anymore though. But she does faces very simply, and it's all about the decorating around it and stuff. It's cute. I really like it. So, what would you like me to do next week? Give me some ideas so I can do some prep. I'm going to post mine, and you guys can't be harsh. I'm dealing with a broken. It takes time. Don't be hard on yourself. It takes time. I find the most difficult thing for people starting out is to get your eyes lined up and your nose centered and your mouth centered. Color pencil portrait at some point. Okay. We'll take that into consideration. Yeah, put it down in the comments to let me know so I can scared to death of cat. Oh, that's why I don't have a cat. I used to have a cat many, 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 many years ago, and I was so allergic to it. I couldn't handle it. And the darn thing lived for 14 years. Yeah, we'll see you next week. But let me know, because honestly, guys, I really need to know so I can prep, because it takes time for me to get everything in order and more perspective, buildings, landscapes. Really, Jilly? This one is 17 and oh no. Well, I used to have my cat shaved really long fur. She was one of those munchkin cats that had the tiny little legs. She was like a big fur ball. And yeah, I'd have to get her shaved because she would get matted up. Yeah, we can do more perspective. Yeah. What types of things are you thinking, Jilly? And you like people, Rebecca? Okay. Yeah, Joan. All right. Well, I'll let you guys get going. And Janet, you got to get your vacuuming done. And I'll think about next week what I can start, see what I can do. Review more of what we did before landscapes, cityscapes. Like what? The 3-point perspective and 2-point the blocks. If you're going to do, I really strongly suggest you use this, a grid, just so you'll see if things are lining up. And that'll help you before you start any of your shading. Use that grid to see if your eyes, mouth, and nose have lined up properly. Then you go ahead and do your shading. All right, I'll let you guys go. I'm glad you all came. I hope I didn't scare anyone off. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.